चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापतिकं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवस्य श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमामि विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिने नमः। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्यनाथने गौरद्विषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त श्रीराधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी श्रीराधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये नीलाचलनिवासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्र सुभद्राभ्यां श्रीजगन्नाथाय ते नमः। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हे श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं गायते यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरो दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरं We are reading from 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 4. The Hamsa Guhya prayer, article 6.4, and we're supposed to read from text 5. Drumebhya krudyamanaste tapodipita manyavaha mukhato vayum agnim cha sasrajus tad didakshaya. Because of having undergone long austerities in the water, the Prachetas were very angry at the trees, desiring to burn them down. They generated wind and fire from their mouths. Here the word tapodipita manyava indicates that persons who have undergone severe austerity, tapasya, are endowed with great mystic power, as evinced by the Prachetas who created fire and wind from their mouths. Although devotees undergo severe tapasya, however, they are vimanyavaha sadhavaha, which means never angry. They are always decorated with good qualities. Bhagavatam 3, 25, 21 states Titikshvaka, Titikshavaha, Karunika, Suhrida, Sarvadehina, Ajata Shatrava Santa, Sadhava, Sadhubhushana. A sadhu or devotee is never angry. Actually, the real feature of devotees who undergo tapasya, austerity, is forgiveness. Although Vaishnava has sufficient power in tapasya, he does not become angry when put into difficulty. If one undergoes tapasya but does not become a Vaishnava, however, one does not develop good qualities. For example, Hiranyakashipu and Ravana also performed great austerities, but they did so to demonstrate their demoniac tendencies. Vaishnavas must meet many opponents while preaching the glories of the Lord. The Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommends that they not become angry while preaching. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given this formula. Yanadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnana manina manadena kirtanya sadahari. One should chant the holy names of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Those engaged in preaching the glories of the Lord should be humbler than grass and more tolerant than a tree. Then they can preach the glories of the Lord without difficulty. But this section of Srimad Bhagavatam is very nicely highlighting the very essence. What should be what is the very essence and parameter of bhakti? Many times people think that performing Herculean activities is the matrix of spiritual advancement. It's the hallmark of spiritual advancement. But it is not so. Yet the Prachetas have performed Herculean austerities, very great austerities. Rather, they were performing austerities underwater. Performing austerities under a tree itself is very painful. What to say of performing austerities underwater? Prachetas are doing that. But what is the result of that? They are coming out successfully performing austerities. But what is their manobhavana, the mindset? They're very irritated, restless, so much so irritated. The irritation has taken the shape of anger, and they want to destroy the trees. So they are from the mouth from which the nectar of Krishna Katha should come out. Then from that mouth, fire is coming out along with wind to move the fire. So many times even devotees think that doing big things is the sign of advancement. And they'll end up doing big things. What is the effect and the philosophy of doing big things? The effect and the philosophy of doing big things is one gets a burnout. Fire is exuding from all directions of the person's existence. One may say, oh, it was Krishna Seva. The person did it so diligently. But Krishna Seva has a very important prerequisite. The Krishna Seva should be done with a heart conscious and consciously offering it to Krishna. Doing seva with a heart just obsessed about the result is not devotional service. Srila Prabhupada translates devotional service as endeavoring with intelligence. While maintaining a longing to meet Krishna in the long run, but is a constant factor to please Krishna. So this feeling of Sharanagati, dependence, prayers, conscious of the Lord's presence, this is what Navvida Bhakti is all about actually. And now when endeavors are coupled with this consciousness of servitude and Sharanagati to the Supreme Lord, then it is very sweet. Otherwise it's very dry. So tapasya or austerities without that conscious feeling of offering it to Krishna, yo me bhaktya prayachati, without that bhaktya prayachati, loving offering, the whole exercise without that loving offering is simply a heated affair. It simply heats up one's existence, it simply heats up one's head. That is the point. So therefore, when Prabhupada coined this word as fried, these phrases like fried out and burnt out, bhakti susukham kartum avyayam. How by bhakti one can get burnt out? Can somebody perspire in an AC? Is it possible? Somebody perspiring in AC, is it possible? It's not possible. AC is meant to cool. In cool, where is perspiration? So somebody perspiring in AC means externally the atmosphere is hot. Internally this fellow is hot. Therefore is perspiring. Out of fear, out of tension, horror, whatever. This is mind is hot. Now what is the AC for the mind? The AC for the mind is the purpose of AC Bhaktivedanta Swami. That is AC. So susukham kartam, how can one be fried out, dried out, burnt out, and all that? That is only possible if the person is doing the services but his mindset is not Krishna conscious. Is not what there is no conscious loving offering to Krishna. Therefore, the achievements increase the heat. Like you see, Chaitanya Charitamrita is festival after festival as far as the devotees are concerned. So Krishna consciousness unending bliss and ananda. But that bliss and ananda only comes when the bhakti is inserted. When it becomes a prowess game, simply a dry speculation, a prowess game. Then definitely the hearts will go dry. So burnt out and fried out doesn't happen because of excessive bhakti. It actually happens because of lack of bhakti. Action without feelings, prayers, knowledge lead to a hazardous effect. That is the point. Therefore, proper knowledge, proper association, proper guidance is required to give us the proper orientation that we have a proper heart while we are executing activities of devotional sense. This being the case, there is no question of any burnout, pride out, and hate. It is not being the case, immediately will be hate. So we say the Prachetas are not taken to devotional activities till now, and therefore, even after succeeding, performing such great austerities, see, they are able to meditate underwater, but they are not able to control their mind. This is the problem with material austerities. One who can stay in water for hours and days, can he not control his mind? No, sir. Because by material means, one can show himself to be a macho man, but one cannot control one's mind. That's why the Prachetas are exploding fire to burn down the trees. What bad the trees have done for them. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada is explaining that the devotee can never become angry. And Prabhupada is quoting 325:21, Titik Karunika. That's straightforward. ताभ्यां निर्दह्यमानं स्तान् उपलभ्य कुरुद्वः राजवाच महान् सोमो मन्युं प्रशमयन्निव. My dear King Parikshit, when Soma, the king of the trees, and the predominating deity of the moon, saw the fire and the wind burning all the trees to ashes, he felt great sympathy because he is the maintainer of all herbs and trees. To appease the anger of the Prachetas, Soma spoke as follows. It is understood from this verse that the predominating deity of the moon is the maintainer of all the trees and plants throughout the universe. It is due to the moonshine that the trees and the plants grow very luxuriantly. Therefore, how can we accept the so called scientists whose moon expeditions have informed us that there are no trees or vegetations on the moon? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Somo vrikshadikarastatha sa eva vrikshanam raja. Soma, the predominating deity of the moon, is the king of all vegetation. How can we believe that the maintainer of vegetation has no vegetation on his own planet?
If they don't take this as real classes, people face none of them can. नीचे जाने के साथ प्रॉपर ये तो इसको भी बोला मुझे प्रॉब्लम दूसरे हमको भी बोला
Soma, the predominating deity of the moon,
टीचर्स करता है
is the king of all vegetation. How can I believe that the maintainer of the vegetation?
तो बच्चा भी ऐसे ही कर रहा है
How can I believe the maintainer of vegetation has no vegetation on his own planet?
ये राज करने की कोड होगा कि ऐसे इसमें ना माइक माइक्रोफोन Is it live getting live stream? चलो मैं कुछ होगा
So, so it is understood from this verse that the predominating deity of the moon. So now here it is being said, and the Soma, he saw this fire is coming. So he stepped forward to please or appease the Prajetas. See, this Bhagavatam is very nice. We learn many nice things from Bhagavatam. So you see, anger can never be minimized by another output of anger. Generally, in relationships, we see when one person becomes angry, other person becomes even more angry. So anger collides, it becomes square. Anger square. Ego collides, it becomes ego square. Uh, the anger mixes with sweetness. Anger will finish. Anger will finish. That is the point. The anger is mixing with the sweetness. The anger finishes. There is no anger. That is the point. So, in this way, we can understand that So you see, this this the divine qualities are very nice, because the divine qualities are very nice because we see all vices get dissolved in these divine qualities. So the vices are insoluble. Nothing can wipe them off. Only these divine qualities can wipe them. That is why in the previous verse we saw Atitikshavaga, Karunikaha, Sadhava Sadhu Bhushanaha. There it is being mentioned the topmost, the falashruti of a devotee who has executed austerity is forgiveness. You see, we read it in the previous purport that a devotee who has undergone austerity sincerely and rigorously, rigorous austerities by a devotee will lead to forgiveness on the part of devotee. So here Soma is not treating the prachetas in a bad way, tit for tat. Rather, Soma is moving forward to pacify the prachetas. No waging a war, only pacify. So let's read further then. न द्रुमेभ्यो महाभागा दिनेभ्यो द्रोग्धुम् अर्हता विवर्धा ईशवो यूयम् प्रजानां पतया स्मृता. Oh, greatly fortunate ones, you should not kill these poor trees by burning them to ashes. Your duty is to wish the citizens, the praja, all prosperity, and to act as their protectors. So it is indicated here that the government of the king has the duty of protecting not only the human beings but all other living entities, including animals, trees, and plants. No living entity should be killed unnecessarily. जय श्री श्रीताय चांद बहुत चांद भगवान की जय. श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्र महाराज सुदर्शन महाराज शील प्रभुपाद की जय. You see, Soma is appealing to their higher nature. Soma is telling, oh, greatly fortunate ones, you are very blessed. You are very blessed. You should not kill these poetries. Your duty is to see that the prosperity of everyone happens, citizens, praja take place, to act as their protectors. Not killing, not rage, not anger. So you see, when we deal badly or shabby in a shabby way, we are appealing and igniting the lower nature of people to flare up. But when we deal in a Vaishnav way, then we are appealing and flaring the higher nature of the people. So at this point of time, the Pracheta, their lower nature is prominent. But Soma is behaving in a very gentle way, appealing, praising them, reminding them of their glorious position. What is he saying, oh most fortunate one? What is it for? What is the fortune of Prachetas? Fortune of Prachetas is that They have got the opportunity to do a wonderful service to Krishna. So they are going to be the king, they are the prince. So they have the opportunity to be a wonderful servant of Krishna. So he's saying, oh, most fortunate ones. He's appealing to their higher nature. He is not cursing them, he's not abusing them, and in that way flaring up their lower nature. He's appealing to their higher nature. So you see that when we have bad behavior, then that ignites the lower nature of people to flare up. But when we behave in a Vaishnava way, by giving respects, by uh, we are appealing to their higher nature to flare up. Yes, Guru. Yes, Guru, you have a question? So therefore, this Vaishnava behavior is so nice. So see those anarthas which cannot be destroyed in this world by any means are dissolved by the exhibition of genuine Vaishnava qualities. How powerful are these genuine Vaishnava qualities? That is the point. How beautiful and powerful are the genuine Vaishnava qualities? So the Mahabharata, Kshetras, they had the great opportunity to be such wonderful representatives of God by offering protection and thinking and working for the welfare of all the living entities who are their praja, not just human beings. In the same spirit, Lord Krishna always addresses Arjuna in terms of his divine lineage, O Kaunteya, Bharata, Sabha, son of the Vrishnis, descendant of the Yatus, so on. So that is to ignite and flare up his higher nature. So this is the science of dealings. The science of dealings is all about how to ignite the higher nature of the other person. That is what science of dealings is all about. Science of dealings is not about how to judge, evaluate another person, how to find some faults in the other person. No, science of dealings is how to bring about the higher nature of the other person. It's beautiful.
Like also they can try that dealing with cancer.
Yeah. So they've dealt with Kansa in a very nice way. So a little bit Kansa can be pacified and he can agree to some better proposal. So that is the art of dealings. So here Soma is dealing with nicely with the Chetas. Aho Prajapati Pati Bhagavan Hariravyayaha Vanaspati'n Aushadhisya Sasarchorajam Isham Vibhu. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Hari, is the master of all the living entities, including all the Prajapatis, such as Lord Brahma. Because he is the all pervading and indestructible master, he has created all these trees and vegetables as eatables for all other living entities. Soma, the predominating deity of the moon, reminded the Prajita that this vegetation has been created by the Lord of the Lords to provide food for everyone. If the Prajetas try to kill them off, their own subjects will also suffer. For trees are also required for food. You can see here that in a fit of anger, person uh, takes steps to even create trouble for oneself, disturbance for oneself. So therefore, this anger is self-destructive actually. The purchasers could not realize that okay, their whole kingdom will come in crisis. If there is no vegetation, the whole kingdom will come in crisis. Who will resolve those crises? Before, before. So anger is self-destructive, very dangerous. One should give up anger. So in anger, one becomes completely blind. One cannot see that okay, is inviting a great trouble, and later one may have to repent. That's the point. Anybody gets fed off by anger, later will have to repent. But what is lost is lost. The material world is like that. What is lost is lost. What is gone is gone. So therefore, one should keep a very safe distance from the spikes of anger. So the Prachetas could not realize that their killing the vegetation will have a very bad effect on their own citizens. They'll have nothing to eat then. What will happen? Let's read further. Yeah, so there's question here. Anarthas which cannot be destroyed by any other means can be destroyed by exhibition, generation, qualities. Can you please give an example? See the example of the Prachetas here. There's so much treating them nicely. They'll take back their anger. See the example on Nityananda and Jagai Madai. So Jagai Madai was not having any feelings for Lord Nityananda. But seeing the compassion and good nature of Lord Nityananda, they developed some feelings. That's what saved them. Markhe prem de dayal to nahi. That's a perfect example.
Another possibility is that even if our sincere mind wants to retaliate, and we follow it. So,
Yeah.
like when Guru Maharaj is not stopping, but as man, the superior is requested, he
Yeah.
so this obedience to seniors, like among all the good example, kids fighting and the parents don't like. For the sake of parents, they should not fight.
Yeah.
For the sake of Prabhupada, they should not fight.
Yeah. For the sake of our punishment. Right. So it's following. Dhruv Maharaj was angry, but he followed. As soon as Shambhu said, "Stop, my dear child," he stopped. Said, "Okay, I'll stop." But you see, there Shambhu Manu also dealt very nicely, Dhruva. He didn't say, "Dhruva, I'll kill you, no? How dare you do this? No? Dhruva, I'll chop off your, no? I'll fight with you and defeat you or whatever." No? He didn't do anything like that. He dealt with him with forgiveness. He dealt with him and appealed to his higher nature. So it hit Dhruva, and Dhruva changed, immediately changed. Immediately he stopped. So these are all examples where we see that good behavior ignites goodness in others, and shabby animalistic behavior ignites animalism in others. Love incites love, and lust incites lust. When a person lusty approaches another person, a lusty fellow ignites lust in the other person. Both become lust. Similarly, a Krishna Bhakta uh, approaches another person, the other person whom the Vaishnavas approach, their heart also Krishna Bhakti starts getting ignited. That is the point. So therefore, these Vaishnava qualities are always to be adhered to. And therefore, see, the Vaishnava qualities are so beautiful. It's just an exhibition of Vaishnava quality, and whoever is looking, the onlooker, starts getting inspired to transform. Yeah. So the Vaishnava qualities is so great. Say further then. Annam charanam achara ayyapada padacharina ahasta hasta yuktana dvipadam cha chatuspada. By nature's arrangement, fruits and flowers are considered the food of insects and birds. Grass and other legless living entities are meant to be food for four-legged animals like cows and buffalo. Animals that cannot use their front legs are as hands are meant to be food for animals like tigers, which have claws, and four-legged animals like deers and goats. As well as food grains are meant to be food for human beings. Perfect. By nature's law or the arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one kind of living entity is eatable by other living entities. As mentioned herein, Dui Padam Sacha Chatuspadam. The four-legged animals as well as food grains are eatables for human beings. Dvipada. These four-legged animals are those such as deer and goats, not cows, which are meant to be protected. Generally, the men of higher classes of society, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, do not eat meat. Sometimes Kshatriyas go to the forest to kill animals like deer because they have to learn the art of killing. And sometimes they eat the animals also. Shudras too eat animals such as goats. Cows, however, are never meant to be killed or eaten by the human beings. In every Shastra, cow killing is vehemently condemned. Indeed, one who kills a cow must suffer for as many years as there are hairs on the body of a cow. जय श्री निताई चांद चांद भगवान की जय। श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महाराज ईश्वर महाराज शिव प्रभुपाद की। अनुसमित से प्रवृत्तिरेष भूतानां निवृत्तिस्तु महाफला. We have many tendencies in this material world, but in the human form of life, one is meant to learn how to curb those tendencies. Those who desire to eat meat may satisfy the demands of their tongues by eating lower animals, but they should never kill cows, who are actually accepted as the mothers of human society because they supply milk. The Shastra especially recommends Krishi Gorakshya, the Vaishya section of humanity should arrange for the food of the entire society through agricultural activities and should give full protection to cows. Now one may say, oh, wonderful, nature is giving provision for one to eat four-legged animals like goats, it's coming in Bhagavatam. So, along with food grains, the provision for eating the goats and buffalo and all that, that is also there. Wonderful. Some people may say like that. So we have to understand one thing. Giving provision does not mean recommendation. Giving provision may also be simply a manifestation of accommodation, but doesn't mean allowance. Giving provision never means recommendation. Nowhere it is recommended that one should eat meat. but the provision is there. Just like the government creates provision for uh, de-addiction for, say, drug addicts. Just because the government has given provision, that does not mean that every citizen should become a drug addict and then utilize or avail of that for facility. So giving provision is different from giving recommendation. The Vedas are not recommending it in it. They are giving an allowance, a provision for those who are hardcore meditators to still purify their lives. Like that, the government also opens lunatic asylum. That doesn't mean we should go and turn mad and nuts. So this is something what we have to remember. The recommendation very clear. The Lord Krishna is telling Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yogam Bhaktya Paritam. The recommendation is very clear. So the recommendation is loving offering to Krishna. So that is why we see much of the rather why the Vedas are confusing. One of the confusion is landing from the point that okay, the Vedas are trying to give a provision for every kind of crooked and deadlock mindset. But what is the recommendation of the Vedas? What is the heart of Krishna? That for to know that we can only know that in guidance. Without guidance, that is something what cannot be known. We will never be able to differentiate between provision and recommendation. Provision is there for everybody. Patakam pataki nara. Even the most fallen person, there is provision. But what is the heart of the Vedas? What is their key message recommended for us? That only a devotee can know. So this is the point. Let's read further. यूयं च पित्रान् वादिष्ट देवदेवेन च नघ प्रजा सर्गाय हि कथम् वृक्षान् निर्दग्धुम् अर्हता. O pure-hearted ones, your father, Prachina Bari, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead have ordered you to generate population. Therefore, how can you burn to ashes these trees and herbs which are needed for the maintenance of your subjects and descendants? How can you burn them down? They are needed for the substance. So this goes to show that how we should and we are not supposed to and we should not exploit any resource of this material nature. Because everything is meant for somebody's substance. And when we pounce upon it or usurp it, we are actually creating a perturbation. We are actually creating rather on more apt word is disturbance. We are actually creating a disturbance in the lives of many for whom that commodity was a means of sustenance. This is the idea. We're actually creating a whole overall long, deep, cascading disturbance. That is the point. And that wave of disturbance, we ourselves may get burnt up. That's the whole point. That's what uh, the Soma is reminding the Chetas. That you're burning these trees to ashes, this will burn down your citizens also. So they'll not get any food to it. Mind it. Think and then act. So we create fire in somebody's life, that fire will enter our house also. This is guarantee of Bhagavatam. And Soma is warning them much before they committed the crime. So let's read one more verse. आतिष्ठता सतां मार्गम कोपम यच्छात दीपितम पित्रा पितामहेनापि जुष्टां वह प्रपी प्रपीतमहे. the path of goodness traversed by our father, grandfather, and great grandfathers is that of maintaining the subjects, including the men, animals, and trees. This is the path you should follow. Unnecessary anger is contrary to the duty. Therefore, I request you to control your anger. Yeah. He's saying that maintenance is the path you should follow, not some. Yes. So therefore, the Soma is requesting that yes, follow the path of goodness.
Charge case. Okay.
नहीं, बचा है तो. So here he's telling them unnecessary anger is contrary to your duty. Therefore, I request you control your anger. Here the words Pitra, Pitamahena, Api, Justam, Vaha, or Pitamahe depict an honest royal family consisting of the kings, their father, the grandfather, and great grandfathers. Such a royal family is a prestigious position because it maintains the citizens or prajas. The word praja refers to one who has taken birth within the jurisdiction of the government. The exalted royal order, royal families, were conscious that all the living beings, whether human, animal, or lower than animal, should be given protection. The modern democratic system cannot be exalted in this way because the leaders elected strive only for power and have no sense of responsibility. In a monarchy, a king with a prestigious position followed the great deeds of his grandfather. Therefore, Soma, the king of the moon, here remind the Prasiddhas about the great activities of their father, grandfather, and great grandfathers. So here we see again, vices are very dangerous. They stop us from performing service. That is why in the Bhagavad Gita purpose, the Prabhupada writes that for a disciple to carry on the instructions of a spiritual master, a disciple has to have mind and sense control. One who doesn't have mind and sense control cannot carry on the instructions of the spiritual master. So the problem with vices is that it blocks our absorption in service. So Ikya Purananda can never happen. Bhavushaka Tasya Buddhaya Vyavahita. That is the maximum value. Service attitude and loving reciprocation to Krishna is a free flow nature of every soul. Why this free flow is not happening? Because of this false figure. We keep it aside, the heart will naturally flow towards Krishna. That is the point. So therefore, we attempt for mind and sense control. You will see, then that we so then that heart would naturally flow towards Krishna. Bhakti is very natural. Absorption bhakti very natural. A blockage only comes from the vices. That is the point. And therefore, a sadhaka means discipline. Discipline. To establish the shasana of the Supreme Lord. Sadhaka means discipline. So when that is there is no blockage. Then one's heart can naturally flow in love, in servitude, in samadhi towards Krishna. As a sadhaka, by exercising and struggling for mind and sense control, we should try to dissolve all these blockages so that very heartily free flow one can move towards Krishna. Let's stop here for today. Hare Krishna. ग्रंथा श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। हरि बोल, हरि बोल।